It is 9:05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand, jumping right into things. Joining us on the line right now, Congressman Andy Ogles. Andy, how are you? Welcome to the Chris Hand Show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. I saw that you're introducing a bill along with Mooney to defund Special Prosecutor Hack Smith. And before we get into it, I just want to warn you that this is the toughest prosecutor in the world. And I know you're probably aware of it. I hope you're beefing up security. But CBS ran this report the other day, and I just feel the need to make you aware of it. Okay, so take a listen to this before we get going. Oh, Matt, audio.
He was reportedly at one point hit by a truck, and 10 weeks later, he ran another triathlon. This is a man of a lot of grit and a lot of determination.
His aggressive approach to his personal health and exercise correlates to how he approaches his prosecution and his strategy.
So I know that exercise and good health has been correlated with white supremacy. So are you worried going into this defunding Jack Smith that you're going to have to deal with, a man of great stature?
Well, being hit by a bus is different than being hit by the Trump train. Look, nobody's above the law. This is a guy who's weaponized his office against a former president of the United States. And like we've talked about before, anytime, whether you're a former president or just a law-abiding citizen, you're being attacked and persecuted by your own government. That should scare you. And that's the problem, is you have these woke district attorneys, whether it's in Georgia or District of D.C., District of Columbia, and they're basically working on the behalf of the U.S. Attorney General. And so we have the ability in Congress to defund some of these knuckleheads. We can go after the FBI by attacking their funding. And for too long now, the Republicans have been on defense rather than offense, and I'm fed up. And so it's time to have a full court press. Look, and I'll kind of use the analogy of a basketball game, right? The clock is ticking down. We have the ball, but we're pressing forward. We're on the 3-point line, and we have an opportunity here to pass it off and fumble the play or to take the shot. And it's time for Republicans to start taking shots to get points on the board. And I, for one, am fed up. Look, the clock is running down on our debt. We have former presidents being persecuted. And I think America is ready for Joe Biden to be impeached, and it's time to move forward.
Amen. All right. So what does the process look like for defunding Hack Smith? What does it look like step by step for you?
Yeah, so, there's a couple of ways you can get it done. One would be to attach it to some sort of appropriations bill. The other one would be to move it through committee as a standalone. When we get back, I'll meet with leadership to see what the appetite is to make that type of aggressive move. Let's be honest, it is aggressive. And then from there, we can map out a game plan. But, I'll have to have the support of leadership. And to be honest with you, I think the majority of Republicans would support this move, whether they're for Trump or not for Trump, simply because the District of Columbia is out of control. Crime is rampant. Rats have literally taken over the street, and I'm not talking about radical leftists. I'm talking about actual rats. And the city's in shambles. Meanwhile, they're spending time, precious dollars, against a former president. So it's time that we put the District of Columbia in its place. And it should be noted that their charter is under control of Congress, the House of Representatives, and we could literally take back their ability to self-rule. And I have a bill that actually does that and puts them back under the purview of Congress. And again, you look at our national monuments, they're not being run properly. Some of the grounds are in disrepair. Enough is enough.
Yep. No, I completely agree with you. So with the Trump indictment coming down last night, it had leaked early with Georgia and hit the internet before the official announcement came. What was your interpretation of that and how it happened? Do you feel like once it leaked on the internet, they had to scramble to get it done quickly last night in the 10th hour?
Well, I mean, again, I think, for anyone who's only halfway paying attention, it just underscores the fact that this has more to do with disparaging this man's character than it does a thoughtful legal process. And so this is about, taking a jab at the president. I haven't read. I literally was reading the news before I was coming on, looking at the indictment and all the people that have been indicted. And they are grasping at straws. They are literally just throwing everything against the wall to see what would stick. And part of that is a strategy. If the more they can tie the president up, Donald Trump, in court, draining his super PAC and his PAC dollars, that's less money he can spend later on in a campaign. They know they're going to have to face Donald Trump. He's going to win the primary. They know they're going to face him in 2024. So they're literally trying to bankrupt his campaign so that they have a fighting chance in November. I know he's going to win the primary. I'm confident he's going to win the general. And the Democrats are terrified. That's why you see this literally, I believe, a coordinated campaign from around the country to destroy this man.
Well, and it seems like it's the same playbook they used when he got in office the first time. Tie him up in court
right.
and tie his arms behind his back so he can't get anything done. Do you feel like Republican leadership, guys like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, are going to finally step up and start, really speaking out against this? Because I feel like they've been quiet through a lot of this.
Yeah, it has been a little frustrating that some in leadership have not been more outspoken. Look, again, whether you like Trump or you don't, he is so far ahead in the polls, not only nationally, but in the early primary states. I mean, January 15th is just around the corner for the Iowa caucus. I mean, it is. I worked for for Newt Gingrich in the presidential race. Building a grassroots army to implement and execute in all of these states across the country is a Herculean task. And I would actually call all of the individuals running for president on the Republican ticket, the writing's on the wall. Take a step back, endorse Trump. Let's have a united front in beating the enemy, which is the Democrat Party. But like you said, it's time for Republicans leadership to come together, rally around Trump. Call this for what it is. It's a persecution, not a prosecution. Let's take our country back.
Well, and it seems like a lot of these guys running still in the race are positioning themselves for VP. Like I think about Vivek. He seems like he's positioning himself for VP or for 28. But a guy like Ron DeSantis feels like he really still thinks he can win. Why hasn't Ron DeSantis gotten out of the race when, Trump goes to Iowa and he's surrounded by all the Republicans from Florida? DeSantis goes to Iowa and people are chanting at him, "We want Trump." Why hasn't he gotten the message yet that he's not going to be the nominee?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of DeSantis, although I've endorsed Trump and he's endorsed me for my reelect. But that being said, it is a little concerning. I don't know how many people in this country really support Chris Christie, but DeSantis is tied with Chris Christie in New Hampshire at 8%. I mean, it's hard to come back from those types of numbers. And I'm friends with some in his orbit and said, hey, what's your exit strategy? That I can read the road signs and it doesn't look good. And quite frankly, I don't know that they have one yet. But and like you said, Tim Scott, Vivek, some of the others, I think, are trying to position themselves for either vice president or a cabinet position. And you've got some stellar talent that has put forth their names. But it's time to, again, step back. Let's unite here. I mean, Trump has won this thing already. I don't even know that he'll participate in any of the debates because he doesn't have to at this point. I mean, when you're at 40 to 55% in every poll across the country, what he needs to be doing is focusing on fundraising, quite frankly, and reaching out and touching his grassroots and get them motivated and ready for the fight ahead, not battling back and forth over who's going to be the next vice president.
Do you think that this could hurt DeSantis's political career moving forward if he doesn't get out of the race soon?
I do. In fact, that was my message. And it wasn't, it's not my place to tell them what to do. It's more of to ask kind of that probative question of, hey, look, if this goes forward in his numbers, he doesn't perform the way you may hope that he does, what does that do for him in 28? Because I do believe there's a path for Republicans to hold the White House for 12 years, and that's 4 more years with Donald Trump and 8 years with Ron DeSantis. I think he's the clear next choice to kind of dominate in the next presidential election after Donald Trump. And but again, if he hurts his brand in the meantime, what does that look like? And I don't know. But to your point, that is my biggest concern. He was such a great governor, is such a great governor. He led our country through COVID by not doing the shutdowns and pushing back and really focusing on liberty and free choice. And I think that's what we need in this nation. But in the process, if he goes on this kamikaze mission, I don't know that he'll recover.
Well, and I agree with you. I felt like, DeSantis really had a shot to be full support of Trump, get in with a clean house after 4 years of Trump, and then have 8 years, without the swamp rats around. And I feel like he's been shooting himself in the foot just by staying in this race. And it seemed like his strategy was to win over Trump supporters, and it's not working. And I don't understand why his campaign hasn't gotten the message yet. And I feel like it's going to hurt him moving forward because he hasn't won those supporters over, and he's not going to win those supporters over. And the longer he stays in the race, it seems like he's losing them forever.
Yeah, and I think the initial strategy for many of the folks running for president on the Republican ticket was, well, if for some reason, if Trump doesn't run, I need to have an apparatus, grassroots, and fundraising in place, because it's going to be a short sprint to that first debate. It's going to be a short sprint to the first to the Iowa caucuses, and so I need to be ready, right? But it's clear now that President Trump is going to run. Even if he's convicted, it'll immediately be appealed at the next level, and which subsequently I believe would be overturned. And so now it's like they need to all rethink their strategy and kind of start pulling back, because again, we need a united front. It is imperative when you look at the economy, when you look at foreign policy, when you look at the southern border. I mean, you go down the laundry list of things that are broken right now under this feckless administration, the Biden administration, and we've got to be united and focused on winning the Senate, winning the House, and winning the White House in 2024, because we can't take another 2, 3, 4 years of 200,000 people crossing our southern border. If Biden wins the White House again, I believe, and this is just my humble opinion, I think China is going to make a move against Taiwan. Yep. And we can't continue to forward an endless war in Ukraine. It didn't work in Afghanistan. We've been tied up in the Middle East. Now we're going to do it in the Balkans. It's just not going to work. And so it's time to pull back. It's time to look. It's America first, not America alone, but it's America first. And once we get our own house in order under President Trump, and again, whether you like him or not, the economy was better. We were more secure. Our border was more secure. We were on a roll. And under this Biden administration, I mean, they have undone more in 2 years than I think. I mean, you have to make some comparisons between Biden and Carter and figure out who was worse.
Yeah.
And then Kamala Harris literally is the least popular vice president in modern history.
Well, I will say,
a lot, right?
I will say in Kamala Harris's defense, she's the most popular female vice president we've ever had.
Right.
Back to your point, the border is wide open. I saw an article saying that they're going to tie a funding bill for Hawaii in with border support, in with billions for Ukraine. And I just got a text from 8997, and they said, can Republicans stop the $25 billion for Ukraine since states like Hawaii need the money? And why are we lumping in Hawaii funds with Ukraine funds? Doesn't that seem a little bit odd?
Well, I mean, it's extortion is what it is. I mean, again, America first, everybody else is second. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm a proud American, but we need to be taking care of the people in Hawaii immediately and pulling out the stops to do so, and then not tying funding to a war. I mean, again, remember just a couple of years ago, Ukraine was literally considered one of the most corrupt, governments in the world, certainly in Europe. And now we're just giving them money hand over fist. And again, I can make a case for the war. I can make a case against the war, but our priority should be America. It should be our southern border. It should be Hawaii. It should be the fentanyl that's polluted and flooding our streets. It should be the CCP, which is literally working hand in hand with the cartel to get these drugs into our country. I mean, think about that for a moment. You have a foreign country that is colluding with organized crime in Mexico to flood our streets with drugs.
Yeah.
Why? Because they want to poison America. They want to make us weak so that when they move against Taiwan, and they are going to do that at some point in the next 10 years, we won't be able to do anything about it. And so we've got to get our house in order instead of trying to fix everybody else's problems. I mean, this is a biblical thing. Why should I worry about the splinter in your eye when I've got a log or a stake in mine? And we're too focused on everybody else's problems. We need to take care of our own home. And I like it when I do my town halls. Look, if you want to paint your cabinets, that's great. But if your roof's leaking, you should probably fix your roof first.
Amen.
Right now, we've got a downpour coming or a flood coming through our southern border. We need to get our priorities in order. And this idea of tying Ukrainian funding to Hawaii is offensive.
Yeah, it's absolutely offensive. And the southern border is offensive as well. I have 4 young kids, and I have to have the conversation with them not to pick up, dollar bills on the ground, not to pick up something that looks like candy or a pill, because I'm nervous that there could be fentanyl on money on the ground, or these pills could be laced with fentanyl, and then my kids could overdose. And to have that be a real fear in this country is just like, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for this country and for parents everywhere that this is an actual fear, and that nobody's doing anything about it. It doesn't seem like anything is getting done.
Well, and literally last night, our youngest, who's 8, and he had heard some of the news, that's just going on, like you said, fentanyl, dollar bills, Hawaii, Ukraine, whatever. And so I'm tucking him in. I give him a kiss on the forehead, and he says, "Dad, how come life can be so harsh?" And so I finally, suddenly find myself in this position talking to my young son about, Job and the Bible and God. And so it's a great, moment for us as a family to have those conversations. But the reality is we're in a broken and fallen world.
Yep.
And I fear for my children. And what this administration is doing and is complicit in polluting our kids with drugs on our streets so that a kid can't pick up a dollar bill. I mean, I come from a working class family, man. I would have been, doing backflips if I found a dollar bill
Amen.
on the street, right? This idea that, an 8-year-old boy can make a decision to change sex and to make that decision that's life-changing, it's permanent, it's damaging. Look, most 8-year-olds in America, they can't decide of whether or not they want to be a scientist, an astronaut, or a fireman because they don't truly understand what that decision means, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to let them change from a boy to a girl or vice versa. The fact that that's even a conversation, again, is offensive and it's nonsense. And look, I'm not advocating for this, but during the Great Depression, people weren't worried about all of this nonsense of, am I a boy, am I a girl, what are the Kardashians doing, and all of this other nonsense. It was about family. It was about survival. It was about community. It was about supporting one another. And we've got to get back to our fundamentals of family and God. And we do that, we can correct this. Without it, we're lost.
Amen. I'm a big fan of reading the Bible with my kids. I'm happy to hear that you are as well. I think faith starts in the home. To your point on children and transgenderism, we have a costume closet at my house, and my boys dress up as superheroes. My daughter has princess dresses, all the things. And my 4-year-old put on high heels and was laughing. And I had to look at him and say, "Well, you're lucky we're a conservative family, or we would have been praising you for how progressive and brave you are, and you would have been down a path of just torment." It's a tragedy what's happening to kids out here. And I'm happy that you're on the front lines fighting that fight.
Well, I mean, and to your point, children need guidance, so this is, Isaac's 8 and he would have been, like maybe 4, whatever. And his sister had a color themed birthday party. So everything was pink.
Yep.
And so, I mean, the cake, the decorations, I mean, everything was pink. And so it's time for Isaac's birthday, which is just about a month later. And he's like, "Dad, I want to have a purple birthday." And I said, well, son, purple is a girl color. Which other color would you like to choose from? And he says, "Well, green, because I like the Hulk."
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't damaged because I told him he couldn't use purple. It's a girl color. Right? And I told him to pick a boy color in the same way that I would tell my son to put on a boy superhero uniform. Why? Because you're a boy.
Amen.
And you're not a girl. I'm not going to let my boy dress up as Wonder Woman because he's not a chick, right?
I will point out the Hulk wore purple shorts. So I wouldn't advise telling the Hulk that purple is a girl's color. Andy Ogles on Super Talk 99.7. Andy, thank you for coming by. Good luck defunding Special Prosecutor Hack Smith, and make sure you beef up security because he's He's one of the most dangerous prosecutors we have.
Thanks, and God bless.
Hey, God bless you, man. Appreciate it. It is 9:24 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Paul Winkler Inc. So I'm a dad. I got 4 kids, and me and my wife, we got a plan for the future. And whether that's college for any of the kids that want it or weddings for my 2 daughters, these are bills in the future that I'm already thinking about. And before I met Paul Winkler, I didn't really have a plan, but now I do. And because of government regulators doing government things, I have to tell you, I'm paid to say nice things about Paul, and every time this commercial airs, I am paid for it. But I will tell you, Paul is a great guy, honest guy, and it's because I got to meet him and have my financial questions answered honestly that I decided to become a client myself. I'm impressed. Paul's a smart guy. He knows the financial world better than I do. And with Paul and his team, nothing is done on commission. That's big for me. So I feel like they're really making the right decisions for me, not for their paychecks. Now, their investment education is evidence-based, and it's backed by Nobel Prize-winning research. They're not just doing things on a whim. They have over 20 years of experience. Every office is run by a degreed planner with over 20 years of experience, and you can feel the difference between Paul's team and the rest because experience equals confidence. So do what I did. Talk to one of his team members. You can set up a complimentary 15-minute phone call right now on his website, paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com, or call 615-851-1950.
9:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 2 minutes. Former President Trump says he will hold a news conference Monday to publicly refute the Fulton County Georgia grand jury indictment. Meanwhile, Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles telling WTN's Chris Hanjo he hopes to defund special counsel Jack Smith, who brought indictments against Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th Capitol riot when Congress reconvenes on September 5th. And a longtime ESPN SportsCenter anchor who was yanked off the air after expressing doubts about the COVID-19 vaccine mandates and criticizing former President Obama says she's leaving the network to exercise her First Amendment rights more freely now that she has successfully settled that case. ESPN offered this woman more than $500,000, Sage Steele, to settle her lawsuit, but her attorney rebuffed it, saying that Disney and ESPN clearly admit their liability. They can't simply buy their employees' constitutional rights. Steele has settled with the networks, but again, the details have not been revealed. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this, because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? Go to paulwinkler.com. That's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
We are live at J Street Free Grill and Bar. This was a fantastic experience. We're cooking everything in front of us right here at the table. We've had ribeye, J Street's famous steak. We had lemon pepper chicken. We had bulgogi. I'm probably butchering it, but I asked like 3 or 4 times how to pronounce it. So it's not for a lack of trying. but you need to try and get out here August 15th. We're going to have a live event, Super Talk Live. Brian Wilson's going to be doing his show. Me, Dan Mandis, Matt Furphy, Pamela Furr, Johnny B. Everybody's going to be here. We're going to cook at the table. We're going to talk politics. All you can eat food. And believe me, look at this spread. When they say all you can eat, it's all you can eat. So join us. Grab your tickets at 997WTN.com. Promo code Chris. And if you need help cooking your steak, I'm here for you. Let's do this thing together.
$9:39 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. Once again, thank you to Andy Ogles and good luck defunding Special Prosecutor Hack Smith. If you want to join the show, 615-737-9986 is the number to text in or call. The big news of the day, Trump is indicted again. And I said this was coming. We all knew it was coming. I mean, they've had the barricades up around the courtroom in Georgia for weeks. Not shocking. I think it was Trump's press secretary, Alina Habba, said she knew it was coming soon when old Fannie Willis was getting new headshots and her hair done. She said she's ready for her moment. Yeah, and she was. She was ready for her moment. Trump indicted again. Ay caramba. I mean, does any of this shock you? I'm not shocked. It was weird hearing Fannie Willis's voice for the first time, though. I'll tell you that much.
Thank you for joining us. I'm here with the prosecutors and investigators who have worked diligently on the investigation of criminal attempts to interfere in the administration of Georgia's 2020 presidential election.
I am Fannie Willis, and I will be very official in this statement. Right? Like talk like a normal person. Like, we get it's your moment, we get you're nervous, but talk like a normal person, Fannie.
Today, based on information developed by that investigation, a Fulton County grand jury...
She sounds like a Trump indictment robot.
...returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
Oh, thank you, Fannie. Okay, so we got another one for the criminal cases. So just if you're keeping score at home, we have Mar-a-Lago classified documents. We have the federal J6 indictment for election interference. We got the additional charges for Mar-a-Lago documents, and then this one also for election interference. You know, that the election that wasn't overturned that he interfered with. Awesome. All right, cool. Breitbart.com reports a grand jury in Georgia returned 10 indictments on Monday in Fulton County. District Attorney robot Fannie Willis, who you just heard, on her investigation into Donald Trump. So the 98-page indictment revealed it's Trump and 18 other co-defendants. Among those, we got White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. We have former Georgia Republican Party Chairman David Schaefer, Rudy Giuliani, Jenna Ellis, who's now firmly in the DeSantis camp. She's getting charged as well, among others. And the grand jury met for about 10 hours and heard testimony and then voted on potential charges on Monday. It was so weird, though, because it seemed like well, it didn't seem like it did. Everything leaked online before the announcement was made. And then it seemed like everybody was scrambling last minute to get this pushed through. The grand jury was expected to convene through Tuesday, but pushed through the agenda quicker than expected, the New York Post reported. And that's because it leaked online. You know, it's so weird. We're talking about Georgia and a leak again, but we're not talking about the pipe during the 2020 election night. We're talking about the leak of the indictment. Alina Habba was on with Hannity last night. I don't like Hannity, but I do like Alina. And she had this to say about how it leaked out in Georgia.
And the timeline doesn't make sense. If the clerk needs to manually put in each count, then how did the clerk have that fictitious mistake earlier? I'm lost on that because the fictitious mistake laid out counts individually, and that must have taken time.
It must have taken time. It couldn't have been a mistake. It was all laid out, ready to go. We all saw it online. It was probably like an hour before the announcement came down. And it seemed suspicious.
If you ask me, Sean, what I think happened here today was that they had a lot of press, as we saw, sitting in the courtroom, laughing, thinking this was a joke. It's just a great press moment, having cameras in the background, and they made a hiccup. They by accident uploaded, the clerk hit a button, and that's what I think happened. And then they rushed. They had any witness that was supposed to be there tomorrow, as we just heard, wait in the courtroom to come in and testify today because of that error, because she needed to get this done quickly. It's 10:30 at night. President Trump did not murder someone. This is not O.J. Simpson. This is not a flea of a criminal who has done something crazy and malicious to another person or team. It's just ridiculous that we're even sitting here as if we're watching a police chase.
No, and I will point out, I think Democrats still like OJ. I think he's still in the good graces of the Democrat Party. 8548 texted in, said, don't forget Al Gore asked for and received at least 5 recounts in Florida in 2000. Was he not trying to overturn the election? I mean, this is where we're at. This is where we're at. And texted in, these people are dirt. They are. They sure are. Just a bunch of scumbags, slime balls, weasels. And it seems like they're going after Trump because Trump is the front runner. Trump has the best chance to win, and they're trying to sully his name on the lead up to the election. And they're throwing everything at him but the kitchen sink. So are we shocked? Of course not. Of course we aren't.
And it's all by design. It's pathetic. You brought up the Durham report. We've seen that. We've seen what happened there. You and I actually covered when I sued Hillary, and we had that thrown out, and I was sanctioned for bringing charges that now we know have come out in the Durham report and are accurate. This is the world we're in. 4th indictment of a president of the United States who had the country leading economically, had fear in China, had real issues under control. And instead we have open borders mayhem. And they're doing what? Library books.
Amen.
Looking at accounting in New York. And now having another indictment for him questioning the integrity of this country's elections. That is what we're doing to a president that served this country very well, I may add. It is so sad to me. It is.
It is. It's sad, and it's embarrassing for the Democrats at this point because we can all see through it. 8521 texted in and said, Mama said Trump is the devil. A little nod to the water boy. I love it. We're not shocked by any of this. They're going to do everything they can to stop this man from running, and no matter what, they're not going to stop him. He's going to be the nominee. 100%. 100%. He's going to be the nominee. He has the best chance at winning. And the more that these Democrats and these radicals that are aligned with the left wing and Joe Biden and his Department of Justice go after him, it doesn't hurt him. It makes him stronger. There's nothing that's going to slow him down. All this does is show everybody, who the real Joe Biden is, who the real Democrat Party is, and who is really on your side. It's spoiler alert: the Democrats are not on your side. Senator Ron Johnson says he can see who the real Joe Biden is.
I hope Americans are going to start pulling their head out of the sand and seeing what's happening in this country, and really evaluating Joe Biden for the corrupt, diminished individual that he certainly is. If I were to point out some of the problems in the Biden administration, start with the dollar that you held at the start of the Biden administration is worth about 85 cents today. Now, that's not going to be reversed, even though inflation is lower. That damage has already been done. But if you set out to design policies that would weaken America and embolden our adversaries, you couldn't come up with a better game plan than what Biden has implemented here.
Yep.
Open borders,
Yep.
40-year high inflation, a war on fossil fuel, record gasoline prices, the embarrassing and dangerous surrender in Afghanistan that has emboldened our enemies. So everything Biden has done has weakened America, emboldened our enemies. And as Ronald Reagan said, you achieve peace through strength. When you're weak, the world becomes a more dangerous place, and that's what we're witnessing today.
Yeah, I mean, in Joe Biden's America, everything's in the toilet. The economy, the gas prices, inflation's at record highs. We're seeing systematic destruction of our nation. I no longer believe that these are good-natured people that are doing the right, trying to do the right thing the wrong way, and they're making mistakes. I believe that they're doing this on purpose. I don't think there's any other explanation for it. I really don't. 3455 texted in and said, "At what point will these indictments make Trump unelectable?" For me, it doesn't matter. But no amount of indictments is going to change my mind. In fact, the more indictments that come, the more I'm going to say, yeah, let's go. I'm going to vote Trump even harder. You want to make me not vote for Trump because of indictments? I'm going to vote even harder.
I'm going to press that vote button with more passion.
I'm with vigor.
Keith does bring up a good point, though, Chris. I understand that in the fourth grade, Trump was 3 days late turning in a library book. Are they going to indict him for that?
They are, because those late fees are mounting up, Keith. Thanks for the text, Keith. If you want to be a part of the show, always feel free to text in at 615-737-9986. I always say we got Mac as my producer. Ken Weaver's the newsman, and the fourth man in the crew is you. So please feel free to text at 615-737-9986. Jim texted in and said, "Chris, $4 America ever spent was when Trump was in charge." Oh, best $4 America ever spent was when Trump was in charge. Yep. 2936. Be there for the press conferences. Tell the people this should be a priority. Yep. Be there for the press conferences. It's going to be must-see TV. 6024 said, "I might even vote twice like Democrats."
That's good.
Let's not say that on the radio, or I'm going to get charged with election interference.
9365 said Trump should buy the Atlanta Hawks and move them.
I
love that.
Just spite everyone.
Screw you guys.
Yeah, we're moving them. So funny. Wendy texted in. She says she wants to be a part of the show. Wendy, you are a part of the show.
You're right here, Wendy.
You're with us. You're always in our hearts. 615-737-9986 if you want to text in. It is 9:50. This is the Chris Hand Show. Thank you. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Trump news conference announced. A Tennessee congressman wants to defund one of the special counsels. Metro Council could advance a resolution making license plate reader camera used to fight crime permanent in Nashville. These stories and more coming up at 10 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 9:57 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Feel free to always jump in on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. A lot of texts coming in about Trump being indicted. All right, so somebody said, where'd it go?
I know there's so many coming in.
There's
it's
so
hard.
many coming in.
A lot of first-timers, too.
Yeah, all right, so 2294, first-time texter. He said, this just in. Trump indicted for removing tag from his mattress 25 years ago.
Oh, that's good.
So good. 4044 texted in, and they said, we all know what's going on, or at least a lot of us know what's going on. The 2015 interview between Obama and Stephen Colbert. One of his, where Obama basically said, well, I actually grabbed the audio. The 2015 interview between Obama and Stephen Colbert he's talking about is what's going on. This was that interview.
I've said this before. People would ask me, knowing what you know now, do you wish like you had a third term? And I used to say, you know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats, looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, he'd be fine with that. I would suggest if you were going to do that, you should pick somebody that actually can talk. Because if that's really what's going on, he didn't exactly pick the best puppet. Because even with an earpiece in and a teleprompter in front of him, Joe Biden can't get a word out. So if that was the case, I don't know. I don't know if you chose the right front man. The right bag man, perhaps. 10% for the big guy. I mean, he has no problem doing all that. It is 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. On the way, after the news, we're going to talk about the Maui wildfires. We're going to talk about Janet Yellen being on CNN telling us the economy's fine, guys, and Americans know that it's fine. What a load. All right. It is 9:59 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. It is time for the news with Ken Weaver.
Ten o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Not a sign of rain for several days. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Former President Trump says he's going to hold a news conference on Monday to publicly refute the Fulton County, Georgia grand jury indictment alleging him and 18 others lied, forged documents, and intimidated elected officials to try to overturn Georgia's 2020 presidential election results. Meanwhile, Tennessee 5th District Congressman Andy Ogles tells WTN's Chris Hand Show he hopes to defund Special Counsel Jack Smith, who brought indictments against Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th Capitol riot.
There's a couple of ways you can get it done. One would be to attach it to some sort of appropriations bill. The other one would be to move it through committee as a standalone. When we get back, I'll meet with leadership to see what the appetite is to make that type of aggressive move. Let's be honest, it is aggressive. And then from there, we can map out a game plan.
Now, Congress reconvenes September 5th. Right now in Nashville, the Metro Council tonight could vote to advance a resolution making permanent the license plate reader cameras to fight crime. District 26's Courtney Johnston on WTN's Nashville's Morning News pushed back at what she says is a narrative by a small group of people that low-income and minority areas are unfairly targeted, even though that's where the maps show the highest crime rates.
I think we've learned in this last election, every time we talked about what are people's concerns throughout the county, public safety is the number one concern of people that live in Nashville.
Johnston says the resolution will go before the next council 2 more times before license plate reader camera use by police can become permanent. More jobs coming to Nashville. Governor Lee announcing today Southwest Airlines will locate its newest crew base at Nashville International Airport starting next year. It means an additional 1,300 jobs for Tennesseans, including about 500 to 600 pilots and 500 to 700 flight attendants. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Staying dry is a good thing, but with the heat coming, your AC may need a tune-up. It may need some repair, and I got the guy for you to call, Jeff Eddy with Efficient Heating and Cooling. Hey, it's Chris Hand for Jeff Eddy's Efficient Heating and Cooling, and it can be hard to find someone you trust when it comes to home repairs like this. So find an HVAC guy you can trust, and the only guy that I think you can trust is my man, Jeff Eddy. Efficient Heating and Cooling is a small company with big service, and they have the results. I trust Jeff Eddy and his crew to do what's right, and they've proved it time and time and again. So if you've been talking to one of those big box shops trying to make a decision to repair or replace your system, have Jeff and his crew take a second look at it, because they will walk you through every option and scenario so that way you can make an informed decision. Most companies are just going to inform and pressure you to replace your system because they make more money that way. So call Jeff Eddy. Have him take a second look. And with Efficient, they offer up to 18 months same as cash financing on your next unit. They're a diamond contractor with Mitsubishi Electric and an elite pro partner with Rheem. So hit up efficienthvac.net or call 615-784-4424. That's 615-784-4424. Jeff Eddy, Efficient Heating and Cooling. .05 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand. So there's been a lot going on in Maui with the wildfires. I'm really digging into it, trying to spend a little bit more time researching it. When you first hear it's a wildfire, my brain immediately goes to California, and those are devastating. Those are sad. But you don't really, it's hard to put it in a perspective from people, you know what I mean? Like, you hear it's a wildfire, but you don't really hear the stories of the people on the ground. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to find as I'm looking into this wildfire and what's happening in Maui. And I found this clip of a man who was in the fire describing it, and it was gripping. Like, I was just encapsulated with this. I couldn't take my eyes and my ears off of it. This is what he said and how he described the wildfires.
It was a firestorm. I know, but there was tornadoes of ash the size of charcoal from a barbecue, like being thrown by baseball players. I'm ducking behind walls. I had to kick in the door at Bubba Gums. get out of it because I was getting pounded. Yeah. And then Bubba Gump started on fire, and I'm running down Front Street, and the wall, there's like 80 people, and the ocean was on fire. Firefighter told me because the first layer of ash causes the seal. And then the next layer of ash was all the embers. So the tide line was on fire, and I had to jump through the water and come up through the fire. And 80 people, they were on the wall. Everybody started jumping in. Coast Guard was out there grabbing people. And I was like, no, I'm good. I was born in the water. I'm caught. And they're grabbing people, and I swam. I knew my phone was only good for like 15 seconds being submerged, then swam for like a half mile north. It was like nothing you've ever seen. This was bad that the people in their cars that were dead and from asphyxiation and the fire blew out the car, and you just saw the numbers of the dead are so wrong.
The numbers of the dead are so wrong. Hearing that guy describe the scene in Maui during the wildfire in Lahaina gave it more of a human element to me and actually put it into real terms as opposed to what you see on the news. You know, when he describes it as a fire tornado with charcoal-sized embers that are being thrown by baseball players, that kind of description takes you out of the national news element of it and puts you back into the human perspective of it. And I thought that was really powerful. I thought that description was unlike anything I'd heard up until that point with doing my research on this. But there are some things I've noticed. So just from reading people's stories and accounts from people on the ground, this is what I'm seeing. There were 80 outdoor sirens in Maui, and no one activated them. There were no alerts going out on phones or TV. The Coast Guard saved like 50 people from the ocean, and the ocean was on fire. And after all of this happens, people weren't allowed to bring in aid. They cite safety concerns, but I'm sorry. In a tragedy this huge, on an island that small, all hands on deck. Like at a certain point, police, military, your safety officials, they need to move aside and let people be people and bring in aid and help. I don't care about your credentials at that point in a tragedy. It's all hands on deck. And the more people get in the way, you know, the more they're in the way. Like get out of the way. If that was my family, I'd be hard pressed to not be allowed in there. And nobody was rendering aid. There was, you know, the fire department ran out of water. There was no Coast Guard helicopters coming in the next morning. It just felt like they were quite literally on an island by themselves, and people were being stopped from going in. Of course, there's some things that are odd about this, as many of the people on the internet are pointing out, like the Maui police chief. Well, he was the incident commander of the Las Vegas mass shooting, John Pelletier. And of course, that's making the internet go crazy. You know, one mass shooting that clearly was no motive and no real reason, and stop asking questions. You know, the same guy that's the incident commander there is the Maui police chief. Odd, but absolutely coincidence. But it's driving the internet bananas. But the Maui police chief, John Pelletier, who was the incident commander of the Vegas mass shooting, he said that the remains that they're finding on the island are being found in metal that's melted from the fire. It's interesting. And the remains are so burned when they pick them up that they're falling apart. So, you know, it's just a tragedy. It's crazy. And the governor of Hawaii, of course, comes out and says it looks like a bomb went off, and then blames it on climate change. Of course, it's climate change. Some of the locals are blaming it on bad government and poor land management. And I saw several videos illustrating just that. Dry brush being wrapped around power cables, and it looked like it was a tinderbox waiting to happen. So I saw several videos online of that, and that's entirely plausible. That it was the dry brush, the power lines, that's one of the reasons why it got so bad. People are saying also that Hawaiian Electric Company is to blame and that there could be wrongful death suits against them. And of course, a lot of people are pointing out that the World Economic Forum printed an article in 2018 that Hawaii would be the first state to run on entirely clean energy, which got me thinking, if corporations are lobbying for the power grids to be replaced with clean energy all over the globe, and coincidentally, Hawaii Electric is to blame and they're going to be sued into oblivion, who replaces that? Who benefits? Those are the questions I ask. It certainly makes you say, So for all the reasons it could be, electric company, bad government, poor land management, one of the things that was on the tip of everyone's tongue on the internet was direct energy weapons. That's what everybody's talking about, direct energy weapons. And then the president tweeted this. Joe Biden, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. We can all agree on that. But he is so disconnected from the people of America. When the people in America are harping on direct energy weapons and the needs of people in Hawaii, the president tweets, "We're laser focused on getting aid to survivors. We're laser focused." That's how out of touch this man is. He put in a tweet, "We're laser focused on getting aid to survivors, including critical needs assistance and a one-time $700 payment per household, offering relief during an unimaginably difficult time. We have staff on the ground dedicated to helping survivors navigate the registration process." So two things again. Laser focused. That's your choice of words. We're laser focused after countless people on the internet are saying that this was a direct energy weapon. That's your word choice. Clearly, I know the president didn't tweet this on his own. Clearly, it's his team, right? That's his team that put that out. The president had no comment. But he goes out and says, "We're laser focused." That's what his team decides to put on the internet. Terrible. I don't want to wade into, was this direct energy weapons or not? I think it's a lot easier of a scenario for it to be either that tinderbox situation, which you can find the videos online of just brush wrapped around power lines, high winds causing this chaos. That's probably what happened. But laser focus is the words he chooses when everybody's talking direct energy weapons. Crazy. And then the other thing, a $700 payment per household. What is $700 going to help the people in Maui by? One night in a hotel? And then okay, where? And then if you do some quick napkin math, that'll be around $1.9 million for the people in Maui and Lahaina. So you're asking for billions. Where's the rest of the money going? It's just wasteful how our government spends money. And it's a damn shame what's happening in Maui. I feel for the people on the ground, and it's just sad. It's just absolutely sad. Jack Posobiec was on with Steve Bannon and Real America's Voice, and he said that these bodies are so terribly burned that they're going to need DNA analysis to figure out who they are.
Well, Steve, in fact, they're saying that they have to employ DNA testing because even the teeth, even some of the skeletal remains aren't possible. I mean, you're looking at something that looks like a plane wreck, when a plane crash hits and the bodies are on the ground and they've been torn apart. There was a video of a dog that had been completely just flash charred on the ground. This looks like something, I would say, this looks like something that you see out of a war zone, but obviously this is civilians. These look like scenes out of Bakhmut with palm trees right there on the ground. And you've got this guy, Joe Biden, sitting on a beach in Rehoboth, Delaware, the same Joe Biden that was looking at his watch during the Gold Star funeral of our hero dead in Afghanistan, is sitting on the beach while Maui burns, sitting on the beach there while all of this is going on.
And the president is sitting on the beach. Classic. That's our government. That's your government on Democrats. Maui burns and Joe Biden is sitting on the beach. And it wasn't just Joe Biden, nobody sprung into action. Nobody went to help them. It's unbelievable. And we actually just talked about Barack Obama, this being his quote unquote third term. Well, what was Barack Obama doing all this? Isn't he from Hawaii? I'm waiting for the super texters to tell me Kenya, but isn't he from Hawaii? Isn't he Hawaii's favorite son, as Jack Posobiec says?
Barack Obama, Hawaii's favorite son, right? Hawaii's favorite son, Barack Obama. I looked, he's got a tweet up about it, right? What's he doing? Where's he going out there? These are the American people. And why is it that every time that there's an issue in the United States, whether it be East Palestine, whether it be Maui, whether it be any of the flooding, we get no information from the government. We get little information. You get people that are blocked. You get people that aren't able to get the story out there. The official narrative doesn't match with what people on the ground are saying. I got people down there, Steve, telling me that they sent the kids home, but the parents didn't know what was going on because the emergency alert system wasn't working. That cell phone service was all taken down. The parents didn't even know the kids had already gone home.
That part really pisses me off. With everything going on in Hawaii and on Maui and Lahaina, they sent the kids home and didn't tell the parents? On what planet? On what planet do you send your kids home and not tell the parents? Like, that's step one if you send the kids home. You notify the parents before you send the kids home. And the parents didn't know? And it's so sad because I have audio right here from two parents talking about this. They literally didn't know. And the fact that failure happened, it resulted in dead kids.
They could have given us warning. They sent all the kids home from school because of the wind advisory. And we found out yesterday that we lost a whole neighborhood of children.
Yes, horrific. The Lahaina Luna housing area, all the kids were home. One of our coworkers messaged us yesterday saying every one of his friends in the neighborhood is dead.
It's so sad. That is so sad. And
that's traumatizing. I mean, that's life altering.
Like, and it just puts it into a human perspective. Like, this is an absolute tragedy. Nobody's talking about what people are really experiencing on the ground. This is going to turn into an argument over funding. This is going to turn into an argument over, was it direct energy weapons or not? Was it the World Economic Forum? Like, all that aside, like, there are kids that are dead. And there are people that lost everything. And all of that is going to be lost in this. And it's just so sad. We're going to have more on the wildfires from Maui coming up. The contrast between Biden's no comment and the statement released by President Trump. We're also going to have the latest from Karine Jean-Pierre's press conference about the Maui wildfires and more. Not going to play the sad audio anymore. Like, I can't take it. I have little kids myself, and just think that a school would send these kids home alone and not tell the parents and just send them to their end. It's just so sad. It is 10:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
A guilty plea from the mother of a 6-year-old boy who used her gun to shoot his teacher in Virginia. Former President Trump plans to go public to refute the indictment out of Georgia. We'll tell you about that story and more coming up at 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. You know, I don't like a lot of Fox News. I don't, but I do like Judge Jeanine. I know she's not for everybody, but she absolutely ripped Joe Biden in his response to Maui. Here's what she said.
I think that this is an absolute scenario where any human being would say our heart goes out to those who are missing family members, to those who we've lost. Only 3% of the impacted areas have been searched. Do you have any idea how many more people we're going to find? And this president can't even say, and by the way, he went to church Sunday morning. Okay, it's all theater to him. None of this is real. He got in as the empathic president, and he hasn't acted that way. Look, he wouldn't go to Palestine on the mainland. You think he's going to go to Hawaii?
Of course he's not going to go to Hawaii. What a great point. He wouldn't go to Palestine, Ohio, East Palestine, when the train derailed. Do you think he's going to go to Hawaii? No. But of course, he's laser focused on sending $700 one-time payments to every household in Maui. Awesome. I mean, Judge Jeanine goes on, and she's so on point. She compares the response to Biden to Trump. President Trump was in there after every disaster, on the ground, touching people, being there, showing that he supports them. Where's Joe Biden? On the beach.
And so I kind of picked up what Trump did when he was president. He visited Texas during Hurricane Harvey, Florida, Hurricane Irma, Puerto Rico, Hurricane Maria, North Carolina, South Carolina, Hurricane Florence, Georgia and Florida, Michael, Alabama, tornado. It goes on and on. This is what presidents are supposed to do. They're supposed to give you a sense that we're in control, we're going to take care of this. And then when they interview the people who are on the island, they say, we haven't heard anything from the federal government. Nothing. We're only getting help from the local agencies who are helping us out. Let me tell you something. I'm curious to see whether or not Hawaii goes Democrat in 2024.
Wouldn't you like to see Kamala Harris down there on instinct instead of talking about
she could do something other than laugh.
Right.
Yeah, she's not going to do anything other than laugh. Kamala Harris can't do anything. If she's going to do something other than laugh, Judge Jeanine says. I mean, but listen, Joe Biden's not going. He's not going to Maui. He's not going to Lahaina. He'll send a $700 check and say, good luck, guys. But he's not going. He's just not. And he has no plans to. And I think it's a safe bet that he's just not going to go at all. The only beach he's going to visit is in Rehoboth.
Does he want to travel there eventually to survey the damage and meet survivors?
So obviously I don't have anything to announce at this time. Look, we're going to continue to have conversations with the administrator, certainly the governor in Hawaii, on what the opportunities might be, what that may look like for a trip. But right now we just don't have anything to share.
Yeah, they have nothing to share, and they're not going to have anything to share. The White House has no plans to visit Lahaina. It's just unbelievable. It's such a sham of a government that we have. They don't care about you. They don't care about the people on the ground. They just flat out don't care. They don't care at all.
Actions, man. Actions. Haven't seen any of them. Keith texts in, I wish that President Trump would get on his plane and fly to Hawaii, be present there, show people what a real leader does.
And you know what? He did the same thing in East Palestine. He showed up at the train derailment, and he's probably going to show up here first. It's crazy.
Sheesh.
And it's like, it's not even like, dude, he's a senior citizen. If you don't want to take a long plane ride to Hawaii because you're going to be tuckered out, I get it. But he hasn't even spoken to any of the victims. He hasn't even called anybody.
Aside from the statement from the president, has President Biden spoken to any family members of wildfire victims or plans to in the future?
I don't have any calls to speak to at this time.
Yeah, they don't have any calls to speak to at this time. No, of course not. He would barely speak to the Gold Star family members who died, the military men and the Marines who died he would barely speak to their family members after his botched pullout in Afghanistan. Do you think he cares about the victims of the Maui wildfire? No. He might call Oprah to check on her and see how her property's doing in Lahaina, but he's not going to call on your regular Joe who's on the street. But
they're going to get $700. So
yeah,
it's all good.
Bucks.
Jeez,
what a
get
crock!
Maybe 1 week of groceries in this
this
economy, especially in Hawaii
and on an island. It's 3 times as much.
Oh man,
for
a family, $700. Come on,
what a joke! Don't send anything at all. Like that's such a slap in the face.
It is.
Like, how dare they? And they act like there's some big heroes. Oh, we're doing this. It's such a crock. And I know it doesn't even come from him. The fact that those tweets got sent out, that was his PR department. The man doesn't know how to use a smartphone. Do you think he's on Twitter sending out tweets like Trump would? No, of course not. His team handled that. He probably has no idea that $700 are going out. And he probably won't until they put it on the teleprompter at his next speech so he can brag about how good he's doing. That's our president. All right. I'm a little bit pissed off. It's 10:30. Time for the news.
.30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. No sign of rain for several days. Full forecast in 2 minutes. The mother of a 6-year-old boy who used her gun to shoot a teacher in Virginia has pleaded guilty to state charges of child neglect. 26-year-old Deja Taylor will be sentenced in October. The same month, she'll be sentenced to federal charges to which she pleaded guilty. The 6-year-old will not be criminally charged. Former President Trump plans to publicly refute the indictment accusing him of trying to unlawfully overturn the Georgia presidential election results in 2020. Trump said he will appear on Monday at his golf club in New Jersey to present what he calls an irrefutable report on election fraud in Georgia. And the Biden administration says federal student loan borrowers should have started getting emails yesterday that their debt has been forgiven. The Department of Education estimates it had already wiped the debt of more than 200,000 people, about 800,000 borrowers eligible. This is to fix problems that led to people on income-driven repayment plans paying well beyond their payment end dates. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this, because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call? go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN, 1035. All right, guys, tonight is the night. Super Talk Live. We're broadcasting live from the J Street Korean Grill and Bar in Hendersonville. The whole thing kicks off at 6 o'clock. Brian's going to be out there all day doing his show. We want you to join us. The food is amazing, and you can get tickets right now at the 997WTN.com. Use promo code Chris. You'll get $15 off your tickets. It's brought to you by Dr. Poss Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solutions and Oil Fire Whiskey. Nothing woke about it, just great whiskey with a smooth taste and no burn. But Super Talk Live tonight, it's going to be absolutely fun. We can get angry about all of this stuff in person together.
Yes. You can show up early, too. You don't have to show up at 6. Show up during the Brian Wilson show, watch some of him do his show, have some great food, and you guys will show up?
Absolutely. And if you want me to make things easier for you, just text us, and I'll send you the link to grab your tickets at 615-737-9986. And, like any large gathering of conservatives, we will do our best to limit the number of feds in the crowd. I promise.
Are the filtration systems changed in this J Street?
Yeah, we have a Fed filtration system. So just be on the lookout for anybody in cargo shorts, dark sunglasses, and polos. I'm just kidding. I don't think there'll be any feds there, but
it's like, dang, I've got the polo and the shorts. Dang.
Mac is dressed like a fed today. He dresses like a fed a lot. Mac may be a federal agent. Do you work for the FBI, bro?
I'll see you tonight.
All right. 997WTN.com if you want to grab tickets to that. All right. So we've been talking a lot about Maui, and, Joe Biden is sending $700 checks to every household in Lahaina. And it's crazy. Like, what is $700 going to do? A super texter made a great point. 0124 said $700 before taxes. Yep. Before taxes. And in this economy, like, how do you expect anybody to be able to get anything with $700? Like a whole family?
And on an island?
Like,
come on.
And where? Everything's burned down. You can't go to the grocery store that's just been burned down. It's just so crazy. That this is your government on Democrats. And the economy is terrible. I mean, we know gas prices are crazy. We know that the inflation is here to stay and that these prices aren't going to go down. And we know how Americans feel about the situation. But Janet Yellen, our Treasury Secretary, our feeble-minded Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, is on CNN claiming that things are great. She wants the American public to know that everything's good, you guys. Don't worry about it.
Gas prices once again are soaring. The average price of a gallon of regular hit $3.85. It is its highest level in nearly 10 months, up 28 cents from just 1 month ago. How worried are you about this, Secretary?
Well, we've seen some increase, partly because of the summer driving season and global factors, but gas prices are down off their highs over $1.20.
What is she talking about? The CNN anchor literally says, we're seeing gas prices soar. They're higher now than they've been in 10 months. And Janet Yellen, this senior citizen who belongs in a home, you can tell by her voice, she does not belong in the cabinet as the Treasury Secretary. She tries to say gas prices are down. The CNN anchor literally just told you we're looking at a 10-month high. The Mockingbird Media anchor told you we're looking at a 10-month high.
And global factors, but gas prices are down off their highs over $1.20. So, of course, this is an area of uncertainty, but we're certainly well off the highs.
Oh, we're certainly well off the highs as we soar to a 10-month high. Thanks, Janet. Thanks so much. How can anybody take this woman serious? Our adversaries don't take her serious. She went to China and accidentally ate some psychedelic mushrooms. People laugh at her. People laugh at her all over the globe, and it's because she says things ridiculous like this. She bows to the Chinese, and that's probably why she's in the position that she's in, to be perfectly honest with you. That's probably why she's our Treasury Secretary, because she doesn't care about the American people. She literally doesn't. She's so out of touch. Gas prices are well off their highs.
We're certainly well off the highs.
Okay, as they skyrocket, we're well off the highs. I mean, she does get a little bit honest on CNN though, when she says that prices aren't going to go down.
The typical household spent $202 more last month on the same goods and services than it did a year ago, $709 more than 2 years ago. So the rate of inflation has plunged, but prices are still going up, and these are huge numbers for American families. It's real hardship. What do you say to those families? Can you tell them that prices will actually go down?
So I don't want to say that the level of prices will go down, but I think inflation will subside to rates that are quite normal and within the range that the Fed is seeking to target.
Okay, great. Prices aren't going to go down. Inflation will subside, but prices aren't going to go down. Pfft. Thanks. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. 9058 says Janet Yellen doesn't have to fill her tank. How does she know about the gas prices? She doesn't have to fill her tank. Unbelievable. And meanwhile, the government tries to give $700 to families and households in Maui and Lahaina. And the prices are unsustainable. If you're not dealing with wildfires, if you're just dealing with everyday life, the prices are unsustainable. But the people in government tell us, don't worry, guys, everything's fine. Even when the polls tell you things are bad, Janet Yellen wants to tell you that that's not true. Things are good.
75% of Americans believe the economy is in poor condition. And maybe that's because, again, even though inflation rates have come down, they are still paying more. 63% of people in this poll disapprove of how President Biden is handling the economy. What do you say, Secretary Yellen, to the clear majority of Americans who simply do not believe that the administration is helping them?
Well, Americans know best, I think, about their own personal finances. And it is important to recognize that when they're asked how are they personally doing, over 70% of Americans say that they're very comfortable with their financial situation. So they seem to perceive the economy as a whole as doing less well than they are personally. But most Americans feel good about their own economic situation.
Oh, most Americans feel good about their own economic situation, says Janet Yellen. 2936 says, even Mike Pence knows the economy's in bad shape.
I don't know.
But he does. He does know. He does know. That's the thing.
So she just speak for most Americans, about 350 million people?
She's speaking for everybody.
Great. Cool. So I'm good.
Yep.
All right. Sounds good.
Yep.
Sweet.
Don't worry about it.
Thought I was struggling, but I guess I'm good.
No, you're not.
No, you're fine.
It actually turns out, it turns out we're all good. So if anybody's having hard times with money, you're not, according to Janet Yellen.
Fake news.
Yeah, it's fake news. It's Mockingbird Media is telling you that. And I do, just so everybody knows, I say Mockingbird Media because of Operation Mockingbird, when the CIA tried to influence mainstream media in the 60s. And they did. So I call it Mockingbird Media for that reason. So if you get a free Google in your free time, hit up Operation Mockingbird. It's fun. It's fun to do research. And that's Mockingbird Media for you. It's a project that they never ended.
Super dope.
Super dope.
Super dope.
Super dope. Everybody, the Biden administration's giving $700 to the wildfire victims, every household in Lahaina on the island of Maui. And you know what? People are saying $700 will buy them $10 of gas on the island, says 8548. Yeah, yep. What somebody said, oh gosh, where'd it go? 20 years ago, 8403 says, nope, 1730 says, 20 years ago, a gallon of milk was $10 in Hawaii. Yep. So you can get, if we had a time machine, we could get 70 gallons of milk. I doubt they're $10 now. If it was $10 for a gallon of milk 20 years ago, could you imagine what it is in Bidenomics?
Double that at least.
At least. 0203 says, I'll trade checks with Janet Yellen, and I own my own business, and I'll trade her bills for mine. Keith texted in. He said, wow, I guess I can sleep better tonight knowing that someone that don't know a damn thing about me says I'm doing good. Yep, Keith, rest easy. And 6447 said, was that Dan saying super dope? It was.
Super dope.
It was. That was from the Gang of Four Amigos yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Super dope. Super dope.
Super dope.
It is.
If we ever stop making money as a radio station, we should flip to a hip hop station and be Super Dope 99.7.
Super dope 99. Yes, absolutely.
Wouldn't that be super dope?
Oh, I love it.
Jeez.
That's great.
All right. I mean, the government's a wreck. Janet Yellen tells you that it's fine, but what do you expect? What is it? What's the old saying? It's strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create hard times. Hard times create strong men. So that's the cycle.
Gotcha.
That's the cycle that we're in. And I blame liberal males. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. And Jesse Lee Peterson agrees with me. Liberal males are just they're betas.
What made you become a liberal?
I got a little older, a little smarter.
Oh, you
grew out of it, yeah.
And you were tired of being a man?
I was tired of being an idiot, but
So you woke up one day, you know what? I'm tired of being a man. I want to be a liberal.
I think there are plenty of men that are liberals.
Not real men.
You really think so?
Men who are liberals are betas.
Sorry, a little off topic, but fun.
Oh my gosh.
You know who's off topic a lot and just completely out of touch? Rachel Maddow. She had Hillary Clinton on, of all people, and she was talking about they were doing a victory lap around the Trump indictment, doing an absolute victory lap, and this is what Rachel Maddow said, and she has no self-awareness. This woman.
One of the things that we've learned by living it in these past few years is that democracy needs the trust of the people. That's right. That the system of democracy at its heart is the idea that the people get to decide how we are governed. And if we no longer believe that our will is effectuated through the system, if bad actors tell us falsely that every election is stolen and that the only way an election is trustworthy is if they come out on top of it, then something it tells you something not just about that person or that moment.
Oh, if we only believe that elections are good when we win, says Rachel Madcow, as all the super texters are chiming in. Rachel Madcow, if elections are only good when we win, it says something about them. That's literally what Hillary did in 2016. Throughout all of Trump's first term, she screamed and screeched and kicked and yelled Russia while she funded the Steele dossier. You know, they spied on Trump's campaign. She just screamed and screamed and screamed about it. The election was stolen. Russia hacked the election. But Trump isn't allowed to question the election? Or he's hurting democracy? It's unbelievable. These people are insane. And Hillary literally did a victory lap with Rachel Madcow on all of this. I'm going to have that audio for you coming up. It is 10:49 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Don't forget the Super Talk Live event is happening tonight in Hendersonville, J Street Korean Grill and Bar. We want you there, okay? So grab tickets at 997WTN.com. The food is all you can eat. You cook the steak right at your table. It is absolutely delicious. And if you use promo code Chris, you can get $15 off your tickets. 997WTN.com. J Street Korean Grill and Bar tonight, Hendersonville, 6 o'clock. If you need any more info, you can also text us. I'll send you links. I'll send you my review. I'll tell you what I recommend. 615-737-9986. I hope to see you there. It's 10:50 on Super Talk 99.7.
Looks like some road work getting in the way. 40 eastbound in Bellevue. Looks like the right lane is blocked. And then if you're trying to get to Paducah, 24 westbound is down to one lane right there in Christian County, Kentucky. President Trump says he's going public to refute the indictment handed down out of Georgia. Details on that coming up at 11 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, that's weird. President Trump is usually so quiet and reserved.
Yeah, it's very odd. It's out of character.
It is out of character. Another thing that's out of character at Super Talk 99.7 WTN, out of character is Hillary Clinton just taking a victory lap on Donald Trump being indicted. That's very out of character for her, but that's what she did. She went on Rachel Madcow, as the super texters are calling her, last night, and she asked if Rachel Madcow asked her if she felt vindicated.
Do you feel satisfaction in that? You warned the country essentially that he was going to try to end democracy, but most of the country didn't believe you.
Well, it's hard to believe. I don't feel any satisfaction. I feel great.
Yeah, she feels great.
Just great, profound sadness that we have a former president who has been indicted for so many charges that went right to the heart of whether or not our democracy would survive. And we don't know yet what the charges coming out of Georgia are, but if you stop and think about what the public evidence is, and you've been talking about some of that for the last hour, he set out to defraud the United States of America and the citizens of our nation.
Oh, wow, yeah. He set out to defraud America, says the woman who funded the Steele dossier. Stole an election from Bernie Sanders. I'm not a Bernie bro, but that was they hijacked that one.
You never felt the burn?
No, I never felt the burn. R.I.P. to Seth Rich, though. And she went on to say, she doesn't feel happy, but she does feel happy.
There is a great deal already in the public record. We'll wait to see what the indictments themselves say, because clearly this investigation has been very thorough.
Very thorough.
But I don't know that anybody should be satisfied. This is a terrible moment for our country to have a former president accused of these terribly important crimes.
Terribly terrible.
The only satisfaction may be that the system is working, that all of the efforts by Donald Trump, his allies, and his enablers to try to silence the truth, to try to undermine democracy, have been brought into the light. And
all of it's been brought into the light. Yes, Hillary. Yes. Slay, queen, slay, as the Gen Z influencers say. It's 11 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eleven o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Not a chance for rain for several days. Full forecast in 2 minutes. President Trump says he's going to go public to refute the indictment handed down out of Georgia.
President Trump said he will appear Monday at his golf club in New Jersey to present what he calls an irrefutable report on election fraud in Georgia. And Rudy Giuliani attacked the indictment returned here, saying its purpose is framing Trump and anyone willing to take on the ruling regime. Those, though, are political arguments. The legal case here may hinge on whether Trump and his co-defendants knowingly broke the law when they engaged in what prosecutors called a criminal enterprise meant to unlawfully change the outcome of the election in favor of Trump.
That's Aaron Katersky reporting. Later tonight in Nashville, Metro Council could advance a resolution to make permanent the use of license plate reader cameras to help fight crime. District 26 Councilmember Courtney Johnston pushes back on groups who claim low-income minority communities are unfairly targeted.
If you overlap demographic maps on top of crime maps, it does show that those areas are areas of poverty, areas of a diverse nature from a racial perspective. That's not the LPR's fault. That is a systemic problem that those areas, those neighborhoods have been suffering from for a very long time.
Metro Police says the recent 6-month pilot program resulted in 71 million license plates read and 112 arrests. WeGo is stepping up security since the sexual assault of a teenager at a bus station, and so many kids using those buses to get to school. Channel 4's Ryan Breslin says the focus is downtown.
Now, about 1,500 Metro school students ride WeGo to and from classes. WeGo says 68 arrests were made at the Central Station last year. Another 58 people, including 14 students, were suspended from riding the bus for other incidents. Now, because of that, one grandmother says she plans to drive her granddaughter every day so she can focus on studying and not on her own safety.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, how are you? It's Chris Hand. I hope to see you tonight, J Street Korean Grill and Bar, for Super Talk Live. Everybody's going to be there. I just found out off the air, Mac is going to be in attendance.
Going to be there.
The Mac Attack. It's going to be awesome.
It'll be good.
Everybody's going to be there. Myself, Dan Mandis, Matt Murphy, Brian Wilson's going to be doing his whole show out there. Pamela Furr, Johnny B. My wonderful, beautiful wife is going to be joining us as well.
Can't wait to meet her.
She's going to be at the first wives table, and I've heard that she's the only wife showing up. So if you see a beautiful woman sitting alone, go
sit with her.
Go introduce yourself to her. She's the best part of me. So I'm excited that she's going to be there and be able to meet everybody. I'm excited to meet everybody. Grab your tickets at 997wtn.com. Use promo code Chris. You'll get $15 off. And the food is all you can eat. And it's awesome. I mean, it comes out in waves. So they'll do like a protein. So you get to choose steak, chicken, whatever you want, and 2 sides. And then they just keep bringing it out in rounds. And it's like cooked in a big barbecue pit in the middle of your table. It's so
that sounds awesome.
So
I can't
good.
wait.
It's so good. You saw the video I did,
Yes,
right?
yes, of course.
My goodness. I ate like a king. We're all going to eat like kings.
Let's do it.
We're going to eat like the elite rich men north of Richmond. That's what we're going to do tonight. You like that?
I like that.
It's going to be awesome. Hey, Tucker Carlson used to live in D.C. He got the hell out of there because he's a smart guy. And he's doing these interview series that are just absolutely fire. I mean, he's had the Tate brothers on. He's had Devin Archer on. He's had Ice Cube on. And last night, he dropped a new one, this time with RFK Jr. I love RFK Jr. Because he says a lot of things that nobody wants to say. I don't agree with all of his positions, but I agree that that's authentically him. And that's something that's so rare in politics. I've said it a couple times on the show. I feel like there's only 3, quote unquote politicians who are authentic and actually themselves all the time. And those 3 are Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and RFK Jr. It's a very short list. And I know I had Andy Ogles on earlier today. I like Andy. I think he's pretty authentic. But like in the presidential scheme of things, I think it's 3 people: Donald Trump, Vivek Ramaswamy, and RFK Jr. And RFK Jr. just doesn't care what people think. He just says what's on his mind. And he says a lot of things that people are thinking about. Like when the Ukraine war kicked off, everybody started talking about biolabs in Ukraine. And it quickly became a conspiracy theory. A lot of people thought Russia went in because there were biolabs in Ukraine. Everybody said, no, that's not true. That's not true. It's a conspiracy theory. Well, Tucker sat down with RFK Jr. and he talked about biolabs in Ukraine.
Interesting segue, because Victoria Nuland kind of blithely announced during congressional testimony last year that, oh, by the way, we have these biolabs in Ukraine.
Yeah.
And that was like kind of ignored, and the people who covered it got attacked for covering it. But the fact remains there are U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. Why would we have biolabs in Ukraine?
We have biolabs in Ukraine because we're developing bioweapons. And
so pretty plain and simply, we have biolabs in Ukraine because we're developing biolabs. Huh. Weird. So it's not one of those conspiracy theories. No, of course not. Well, what are we doing with the biolabs? Well, RFK Jr. says we're building bioweapons. Weird. Thought that was a tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. It's not. And these bioweapons are being built with new technology, according to RFK Jr.
And those bioweapons are using all kinds of new synthetic biology and CRISPR technology and genetic engineering techniques that were not available to previous generation, and they can make frightening stuff.
So they're using new technology, CRISPR technology, and the latest state-of-the-art terrifying technology to make just the scariest things that you can think of. Awesome. Nothing like a little good news, to kick off your lunch break. But he says, he goes on, and this interview is with Tucker Carlson. And I'll reiterate what he says because I understand sometimes it's tough to understand RFK Jr., but it's worth the listen. So turn up your radio. He says that it was the Patriot Act that reopened these biolabs.
When the Patriot Act reopened the bioweapons arms race in 2001, the Pentagon began putting bioweapons, but they were nervous at that time because if you violate the Geneva Convention, it's a hanging offense. And they weren't sure that provision in the Patriot Act would actually hold up as a loophole to treaties that had been ratified by Congress.
So they put the biolabs in Ukraine and made the bioweapons there because they were worried about the Geneva Convention because making bioweapons is a hanging offense, says RFK Jr.
So they were nervous about actually going full force into bioweapons development. So they transferred the authority for biosecurity to one agency in the HHS called the National Institute for Infectious and Allergic Diseases, run by Anthony Fauci. So Anthony Fauci got all the responsibility for bioweapons development. He got at that time a 68% raise from the Pentagon.
Weird.
In order to do that work. So, and that's why he was the highest paid official in the American government of 4 million people in the American. He gets more money. He got more money, $450,000 a year than the president.
So that's why Anthony Fauci was so highly paid. You know, I remember that Anthony Fauci is the most highly paid government official. We all talked about that during COVID. And why? Well, because he's the biolab, the bioweapon guy, according to RFK Jr. Huh. Interesting.
Now, when you do bioweapons development, every bioweapon needs a vaccine. So you develop them side by side.
Every bioweapon needs a vaccine, and you develop them side by side. It reminds me of the conspiracy theories that the COVID vaccine was already pre-made when COVID leaked from the lab. You know, this is what RFK Jr. is saying. I don't know if it's true. I know RFK Jr. probably has a lot more access to information than little old me does. But he says, you know, the bioweapons are made in conjunction with vaccines.
Now, when you do bioweapons development, every bioweapon needs a vaccine. So you develop them side by side.
Okay, so the bioweapon is step one. The vaccine is step two. But why do they do that?
Because in 100% of the cases, when you deploy a bioweapon, there's blowback. Your side also gets sick. So in order to deploy one offensively, you need a vaccine to counter it. So you need to vaccinate your team before you deploy it. So those two things are developed through a field of science called gain of function science, where you take an infectious microbe and you amplify its infectivity, or you make it jump species, so it may kill monkeys. Now you make it kill humans.
So it's all done through gain of function research, which Rand Paul is going after Anthony Fauci for right now. You know, it's been well documented that we were funding the gain of function research at these bioweapon facilities. Weird. So bioweapons, vaccines. This is what RFK Jr. Is discussing with Tucker Carlson, and you wonder why Tucker Carlson was taken off the air, because he wanted to have these conversations for the American people, and he's just not allowed to do it. Now, these conversations are sensitive, sure. People don't like to talk about this kind of stuff, but I think it's important that we have the conversation. Bioweapons are happening. Vaccines are created to go in conjunction with the bioweapon. But, you know, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says bioweapons and vaccines are the actual inverse of medicine, is what he says with Tucker Carlson.
And you adopt it that way, and there's all kinds of methods, and then you make it immune to antibiotics and to therapeutic drugs and to other therapies. So it's actually the inverse of medicine. For 2,800 years since Hippocrates, doctors have been trying to figure out how to make microbes less infectious and less deadly, and developed antibiotics and therapeutics to do that. Well, the guys who are involved in this, there's 36,000 what are called life scientists, but they're actually death scientists, who are now employed full-time in developing, microbes that can be used to kill people.
36,000 life scientists, who RFK Jr. calls death scientists, are employed in making these bioweapons. Can we all just stop the bioweapon stuff? Like, this is easily the most dangerous thing happening in the shadows of our government. And I understand it's not just our government that's doing it. I understand other governments around the world are doing it. Hence why, the U.S. government does it, because they don't want to be late to the party. But this is scary stuff. And with the bio leak causing COVID, the biolab leak in Wuhan, you can't just look at this stuff and think it's a good idea. Like, this is going to end humanity as we know it. And this is what happens in Ukraine. Bioweapons, biolabs, vaccines. Got it? Awesome. And the U.S. has been doing this. The U.S. has been meddling in Ukraine, doing this for quite a long time.
2014, there are riots it's called the Maidan Rebellion in Ukraine, which we're not told that we are financing those riots. The newspapers never told us, our government never told us. USAID, which is a CIA front, put $5 billion into funding those riots.
So we're funding riots in Ukraine in 2014, according to RFK Jr. The CIA is overthrowing the Ukrainian government in 2014. This is insane stuff. This interview is a much watch, RFK Jr. with Tucker Carlson. So we're funding the riots in Ukraine in 2014, according to RFK.
Those riots lead to a coup d'etat against the first democratically elected government of the Ukraine. It was a government that refused to choose sides and to say, we're going to be on the side of the West. So we wanted them out.
Oh, so the CIA throwing coup d'etats. Strange, right? Strange. Never heard anything like that before. The CIA overthrowing governments. You understand why RFK Jr. probably needs Secret Service protection, and then in the same breath, you understand why he probably doesn't want Secret Service protection, because his uncle and his father had Secret Service protection, and it didn't really end well for them. He's saying a lot of things that you are not supposed to say. You're not supposed to talk about the CIA overthrowing governments. That's a no-no. That's the third rail when you're running for president. But it was his uncle who said he wanted to shatter the CIA into a million pieces. But here's a part that I found really, really interesting. So they funded the riots in 2014 in Ukraine. But RFK Jr. says they picked the new government, the new Ukraine cabinet, before they even overthrew the government.
A month before that government is overthrown, Victoria Nuland, who's the part of the centerpiece of the neocon ideology and who is now a high-level official in the State Department, has a secret call with the U.S. ambassador, which is tape recorded and is now public, which anybody can go and look up, where she is picking the new cabinet for Ukraine, which is a U.S. Western cabinet. So they're picking the new government a month before the old government is overthrown.
Is that how democracy? Is that democracy when Victoria Nuland picks her government?
Well, that's the point. Is USAID doesn't really do, and the CIA don't do democracy. The CIA has overthrown, I think, 83 governments between 1947 and 1997. That's a third of the governments on Earth, and most of them were democracies. Oh, it doesn't do democracy. It does coup d'etats.
It doesn't do democracy. It does coup d'etats, the CIA. RFK Jr. He's bound to have an accident of some sort soon. I feel like in this interview he should go on record and say, I'm not depressed. I'm not suicidal. And he says that the CIA has a history of overthrowing governments. And I did a Google search, and quite a few instances of the CIA either overthrowing or attempting to overthrow a foreign government since the Second World War. And I compiled a brief list, not the attempted ones, just the ones that they allegedly overthrew. We had Iran in 1953, Guatemala in 54, Iraq in 63, Cambodia, Laos, Ecuador, Congo, Brazil, the Dominican Republic, Bolivia, Indonesia, Ghana, Chile, Greece, Bolivia, Australia, Portugal, Jamaica, Chad, Grenada, Fiji, Nicaragua, Panama, Bulgaria, Albania, Afghanistan, Yugoslavia, Ecuador, Afghanistan, Venezuela, Iraq, Haiti, Honduras, Libya, Ukraine. Wow. Crazy. I hope his security's beefed up, because he's making a lot of waves. He's pissing a lot of people off with this interview. It's worth the watch. RFK Jr. sitting down with Tucker Carlson. These are some amazing interviews that Tucker's doing. I will retweet it on my Twitter account, so it's easy for you to find. And you can also hit the follow button while you're there, at Chris Hand on Air. I'm also on Instagram and True Social, at Chris Hand on Air. You follow me, I'll follow back. It's a fun thing that we can do together. It is 11:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for USS, United Structural Systems. Listen, we've had a lot of rain lately, and USS they specialize in keeping homes dry and stable. So with all the rain that we've been having, check in your crawl space, check in your basement, see if you notice a wet crawl space, see if you notice wet basement walls, cracks in your basement floors. If you see that, your house is trying to tell you something. And the guys at USS, so they speak house fluently, they can help you translate what's going on and give you the best plan to fix it. Now, they do a lot of things at USS, including foundation repair, sinkhole repair, basement wall realignment, crawl space, floor supports, anything in your crawl space, basement and crawl space, waterproofing, concrete lifting, and more. They've been serving Middle Tennessee since 1994, and they aren't going anywhere. When you work with a new guy in town, you have no guarantee that they'll still be around if you ever have a warranty issue, but we can guarantee that USS is here to stay. They're not a franchise, and their custom solution will meet your needs, and you never pay until the work is done and you are satisfied. So give them a call today. They have 25,000 satisfied customers, and I'm confident you could be number 25,001. 615-488-7855. That's 615-488-7855 or USSTN.com.
Road work getting in the way right now north of Nashville. You've got 24 westbound, only one lane open there in Christian County, Kentucky. And then back here closer to home in Bellevue, 40 eastbound is down to down to the left lane because the right lane is blocked for road work. And inside a courtroom in Florida today, the Mar-a-Lago property manager entered his plea in the new charges in the classified documents case. These stories and more at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. It is 11:26 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Ham. Mac Maury, my producer. Ken Weaver just killing it in the newsroom. And you, the fourth man on our crew, on the Super Text line, 615-737-9986. So, getting a lot of texts, a lot of reaction from RFK Jr. on Tucker Carlson on Twitter. I posted the interview on my Twitter page. I'm not going to call it X. It's terrible. It's a terrible name.
Twitter forever.
Twitter forever. This is so dumb. At Chris Hand on air. Hit the follow button. I'll follow back. The interview's there. So 9800 texted in. How about Trump Kennedy or Kennedy Trump 2024 and just blow up the swamp? Make them run for the light like roaches. I would be so in on a Trump Kennedy ticket. So in. Kennedy was on an interview with Dr. Drew of Loveline fame. Dr. Drew, right? That's Loveline? I think so. Anyway, he's on an interview with this guy. He said, what would you do to unite the country? He said, I would stop lying to the American people. That's what he said he would do to unite the country. Stop lying to the American people. What a based answer. Because everybody lies. Both sides. The left and the right are lying to us constantly. The media lying to us constantly. The medical industrial complex, the military industrial complex. Lies, 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 lies. Said that's how he would reunite the country. He would stop lying to people. I love it. I really do. So as far as a Trump Kennedy ticket, I'd be all in. 100%. John 0973 texted in. So Chris, why would the CIA do that for 50 years running? Talking about allegedly overthrowing countries. Are they autonomous regardless of who the president is or who is in Congress? There is bound to be money to follow somewhere. It would seem insidious. What is RFK Jr.'s purpose here? John in Lawrenceburg. Well, I don't know if they're autonomous. I do know that JFK said he was going to shatter them into 1,000 pieces and scatter them in the wind. And, we all know how that one ended. So they may be autonomous. 8860 said, what does based even mean? I really don't know. Based means based in truth, based in fact, based in Christ. That's how I say based. Usually I refer to one of those three things. Based in truth, based in facts, based in Christ.
0550 said, quit saying based. Are you 14? Not based, 0550.
0550, that is not a based take.
Not based.
Unbased. We like you a lot, 0550. You usually have good comments, but that was very unbased of you.
Win some, you lose some, man.
Now you're just going to make it worse.
1228 said, I love RFK, but his stance on abortion is a hard no. I totally get that. I totally get that that's a line in the sand a lot of people aren't going to cross. I did hear RFK Jr. say that he would float a national ban on abortion after 3 months. And I know that that's not going to please a lot of people. But I will say, out of all the Democrats, the fact that he's not just pushing for it up until birth is a step in the right direction. The Democrat platform on abortion used to be rare, safe, and legal. And now it's no matter what. No matter what. So the Democrats have lost their way. I don't want to get into the abortion the abortion argument. Everybody has their stance. I'm against it, but, we could argue all day the pro-abortion and the anti-abortion crowd. It pro-life, pro-death, really. A lot of people are saying 0550, not based. Well, you have time to redeem yourself, 0550, and you can do it tonight by joining us for Super Talk Live in Hendersonville, starting at 6 p.m., J Street Korean Bar and Grill. Tickets online, 997WTN.com. Use promo code Chris to get $15 off. Time for the news.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Not a chance for rain for several days. Full forecast coming up in 2 minutes. Inside a courtroom in Fort Pierce, Florida today, Mar-a-Lago property manager Carlos de Oliveira pleaded not guilty to the new charges introduced by special counsel Jack Smith in the classified documents case. The former president's legal team expected to make their own appearance in court next week. Former President Trump said he'll appear on Monday at his golf club in New Jersey to publicly present what he calls an irrefutable report on election fraud in Georgia. And a longtime ESPN SportsCenter anchor who sued for getting yanked off the air after making comments critical of COVID vaccine mandates and former President Obama says she is leaving the network to exercise her First Amendment rights more freely. Sage Steele posted to X, formerly Twitter, that she has successfully settled the lawsuit. Her attorney says Disney-owned ESPN offered Steele more than $500,000 to settle her lawsuit, which shows they admit their liability, but they can't just buy their employees' constitutional rights. Details of the settlement still mentioned in her post have not been revealed. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey folks, Paul Winkler here. One of the things I like to do for investors is educate them, because the more educated I believe that you are as an investor, the more peace of mind you have, the less you worry, and the more successful you're likely to be as an investor. So here goes another education. If we look at a lot of these investment portfolios, like these target date funds out there or portfolios put together by big mutual fund companies, they'll often use something called a total market fund. And you think, wow, I own the whole market in one mutual fund. Matter of fact, there's a really popular video out there on YouTube that says you can get by with just a couple mutual funds and you can be totally diversified. Nothing could be further from the truth. What's going on here is this. One of the things we know as an investor is that you have small companies out there and you have large companies out there. You have growth companies and you have value companies. I taught this in a previous video. We expect more return from small companies than we do large because they have to pay more to use your money historically. Value companies have to pay more to use your money historically as well. Now, what happens with total market funds is they weight based on the size of the company. Well, that would mean that a bigger company would represent more of the portfolio. So graphically, it would look something like this. The fund would look like this. That there's a ton of money in really big companies and there's almost no money in really small companies in those portfolios. So it's not really diversified. Do they own them? Yeah, they own them, but they almost have no money in them. So when these do really well, you're not really getting the benefit from it. What we would be better served doing is investing in various areas of the market and holding different types of funds to be more balanced between these areas. That's what academic research shows us, is if we can hold these areas more separately, then we end up with a better risk-return experience. So this is one of the things that we teach people. We like for you to understand this, because the more you understand it, the less you're pulled astray from the investing industry that's typically all about selling you things. Yeah, total market fund, it sounds really good. Not necessarily so great in practice. Now, if you want to find out a little bit more and learn more about investing so that you're a more educated investor, why don't you take us up on a free 15-minute phone call. Go to paulwinkler.com. It's paulwinkler.com. You can set up one in any of our offices, our 10 offices around the Nashville area. There's one near you, most likely. Set that up. Come see us. We love to educate investors. I think you'll be happy you did.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, me and Mac, all we do during the commercial breaks, there's a little intercom button, and we talk back and forth. And we say based quite a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot of base talk.
0550, just in case you're still listening. We say based more off the air than we do on the air. It's pretty based. just want to let you know.
Find out tonight, 0550, how much we say base.
Yeah. Come join us live. Super Talk Live. J Street Korean Bar and Grill, Hendersonville, starts at 6 p.m. Tickets online, 997WTN.com. Get $15 off with promo code Chris. I was driving my daughter home from school, and she looked at me. She went, promo code Chris? I said, yeah, babe. I'm a promo code now.
I've peaked. I've made it.
That
is, man.
It's pretty cool.
That is cool.
And like,
that's awesome.
So I was joking with you off the air. I said it to Ken too. It's like, you made it when your interview with Andy Ogles makes news in one of Ken Weaver's newscasts.
Ken deemed it eligible for news, man. It was newsworthy.
That's like the first time I've been newsworthy for Ken Weaver. That was pretty big. Another person is asking what based means. Based in truth, based in facts, super based.
This radio station, based.
Absolutely based. The entire Super Talk lineup, super based.
Based.
We're gonna be shouting it from the mountaintops tonight at J Street Korean Bar and Grill. With all of this base talk, I do want to say some people out there just aren't based. And there's a girl who's visiting America from Australia. Yeah, that little tiny island that's absolutely inhabitable in the middle because it's just so hot and completely unbased. She had this to say about visiting America.
I'm just going to say it. There are too many American flags. Like, they're on houses, they're on cars, saw them on couch cushions. Like, I don't know who's making these American flags, but they'd be making a bloody fortune.
Yeah, okay. Well, first of all, very unbased take. Very unbased. And to your question about who's making all the American flags, mostly China. They're mostly coming. It's mostly made by little children in China. Little tiny hands. That's how we get the stars. That's how we get all 50 stars. It's actually, fun fact, the same country that makes our flags are buying up all the real estate in Australia. So, but she goes on.
And like, you're the only country that I know that does this. Like, the only time I think I've ever seen an Australian flag is like on the Harbour Bridge. Could not tell you what it looks like. Like, I know it's like blue and it's got some stars on it.
I feel like that's a her problem. Like, I could tell you what the Australian flag looks like.
Yeah.
It looks like, a lame American flag where like you put the stuff in the wrong spots. It's got the British flag in the top corner. It's got the stars in the middle, all blue. It's not a based flag by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, they stole designs from like 3 different flags.
Yeah. I mean, but that's what you get when your country was founded to be a prison country. Like they literally dropped people off there to just rot away and die. Because there's thousands of things in Australia that can kill you. Like you could just die all the time. The least dangerous spiders in Australia could eat your dog in America. But this lady's unbased, completely unbased.
But I think I could draw the American flag from memory. Like, I think I could make a bloody sculpture out of it. That's how many times I've seen it. It's enough. Let's pull back on it, okay? Let's stay humble.
I'm not going to stay humble. In fact, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, this Australian lady made me wear my American flag hat today. I had to rock the Betsy Ross flag cap because when somebody tells me that I'm not allowed to American flag, I'm going to American flag even harder. You know what I mean? The only base thing that she said in this whole thing was that she could make a sculpture out of the American flag.
From memory. Like, I think I could make a bloody sculpture out of it.
That'd be pretty based.
That'd be sick, man.
That'd be dope.
Get back to me on that. That'd be dope. Yeah.
You should sell those on like Etsy or something. That would be cool.
We'd buy those.
Yeah. Well, I love base sculptures. Everybody on the Super Text line chiming in. Go back to your penal colony, says JB. I call Australia Convict Island, says 0394. Yep. That flag in the corner is the Union Jack, not British, says 9492. All right, whatever. I don't really care about it.
Yeah, it's irrelevant.
Yeah, I don't really care about Australia. Unless I'm making fun of them. Australia is the country, mind you, that had basic concentration camps when COVID was happening, wrapped with barbed wire for your health and safety. Dude, Australia, they had a guy quarantined for COVID because he was displaying symptoms, mind you, symptoms. And they had him quarantined. And then there was an international manhunt in Australia for this guy because he left his house. They plastered his picture on the news and on TV. That's your country on tyranny. I mean, come on. Australia's not dope. Not dope at all. Not based. Australia. They were like putting kids in these quarantine camps that that weren't even showing any symptoms of COVID. That's Australia. 0344 says, no offense, but if she doesn't like it, go back to Australia. Yeah. She should have never came. 0467 says, who cares what Australia thinks? Nobody does.
First-time texter 6387 says, Denmark is flag crazy, way more so than the United States. Interesting.
Really? Denmark,
repping it.
I have a friend that I used to work with from Denmark. There was a European jingle company, like a radio jingle company, that I worked with, and he couldn't understand why I carry a firearm.
Oh, wow.
So like they don't have the rights that we have in Denmark and in the Netherlands. And he's, Chris, I just don't understand why America, they all carry the guns. I said he was visiting. He visited for like a week as we were doing work. We were traveling around, and I said, Thomas, I've literally been strapped this whole time, and you're infinitely safer because of it. It's like, what? Like pull my gun out, put it on the table. He's like, oh my gosh. He's like, you want to go to a shooting range? He's like, no, I couldn't. Australia though, 8602. Great point. They're under communist rule and don't even know it. Yep, you're absolutely right. Went to Canada this summer, says 4254. Flags everywhere. You can fly the Canadian flag without being called a domestic terrorist, unlike in America. Yes, we're the most domestic terroristy of all the flag flyers in the world here in America. 2140 said, who's the mayor of Australia? I don't know. But I'm still torn up about the mayor of Canada, Justin Trudeau, getting a divorce. It's a shock.
Oh, gosh.
It rocked me to my core.
Oh, don't bring that
You
back
just
up.
reminded me.
Ruined my day.
The poor mayor of Canada. Who cares who the mayor of Australia is? They just listen to whatever America tells them anyway. Australia. They one of the worst countries in the entire world. Plain out, flat out should still be under British rule. It used to be a proper country.
9365 says, worry about your kangaroos whooping your butt instead of our flag.
Oh my gosh, seriously. Have you seen the kangaroos in Australia?
Jacked.
They're like on steroids. Like
insane.
they're juicing the kangaroos in Australia.
And they got spiders bigger than our computer screens. I mean,
oh my gosh.
I'm good.
Yeah, the be humble, the spider should stay humble.
Stay humble.
Yeah, that's you're
I'm just going to say
it. Stay humble. I'm just going to say it.
She acted like it was about to be this most profound, knowledgeable, deep.
Oh my gosh.
Don't like a flag? All right.
And she probably recorded the video a few times.
I'm just going to say it. There are too many American flags. Like they're on houses, they're on cars, saw them on couch cushions. Like, I don't know who's making these American flags, but they'd be making a bloody fortune.
They are making a bloody fortune. Get your own accent, Australia. Your cheap rip-off English accent. 8860 said, I had thought going to Australia at one time. The more I see, the more I don't want to go anymore. Yep, absolutely. Hey man, this is what we deal with. This is hard-hitting news. 0882 said, tell her to ride her bloody broom back to where she came from. Seriously. So funny. That's what's going on in Australia. What's going on in America today? The president he's racking up indictments the way we rack up Kroger points here in Tennessee.
Thank you for joining us. I'm here with the prosecutors and investigators who have worked diligently on the investigation of criminal attempts to interfere in the administration of Georgia's 2020 presidential election.
That's District Attorney Fannie Willis in Georgia doing her best robot impression while she announces Donald Trump's fourth indictment. Everybody doesn't want us to vote for Trump, and so they keep indicting him to just prove he's such a bad guy. I'm only going to vote Trump harder, and I don't care. I don't care about your robot impression, Fannie Willis.
Today, based on information developed by that investigation, a Fulton County grand jury returned a true bill of indictment, charging 19 individuals with violations of Georgia law arising from a criminal conspiracy to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election in this state.
Do you think she talks like that in real life? Or do you think she
Gosh, I hope not.
Could you please pass the salt and pepper? I can't imagine that that's her real voice. Like, just talk like a normal person. I don't understand. Like, Mike Pence does it all the time.
Yep.
Like, they put on like this, like, I'm going to put on my official voice while I talk to the people. It's like, dude, stop. So weak. Unbased.
And not relatable.
Not relatable at all.
No.
Unlikable.
A district county grand jury. What are you doing?
What are you doing? It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing. So Trump has more indictments. So just for you, those of you keeping a score at home, we're up to 4. We're up to 4. Mar-a-Lago classified documents. We also have the federal J6 indictment for election interference. We have the additional charges for Mar-a-Lago document case. And then this one for election interference.
I can't calm down. I'm going to be indicted. Indicted!
So, I mean, this is crazy, right? We knew it was coming. I mean, it was 317. Hunter admitted the laptop. 318. Trump had indictment news. On June 8th, the FBI document alleged the Biden bribe. On June 9th, we had an indictment. On July 26th, my birthday, it was awesome. Hunter's plea deal collapsed. And then on July 27th, indictment. On July 31st, Devin Archer testified. On August 1st, indictment. On August 9th, more damning Biden bank records released. On August 11th, the DOJ illegally designated the special counsel. And then now, today, FBI whistleblower transcripts are being released and Trump is being indicted. Awesome. You got to love the left-wing machine's commitment to narrative control. They are the best at it. If we can give them kudos on anything, it's on narrative control and media manipulation. They're fantastic. It's 11:50 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, it's Chris Hand for the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin. Listen, everybody's heard the commercials. Don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. But this is a real thing, okay? The pills are causing addiction. It's causing so many people to lose their lives, family and friends, heartbreak. It's crazy. It's scary. And that's why I'm such a big supporter of the Dr. Gill Center. No pills necessary. No matter what kind of pain you're dealing with, back, neck, knee, hip, elbow, all of it can be treated with no needles and no downtime. At the Dr. Gill Center, they've been helping people get back to a pain-free life for over 30 years. And right now, the Dr. Gill Center wants to offer you a special offer if you're looking and suffering with pain and looking for a non-surgical solution. So right now, just $49. That's it. $49 will get you your initial examination, an x-ray, and a complete review of findings. So less than $50 to find out what's causing your pain and a plan to fix it. If you're like me, you don't like pills, you don't like the opioid stuff, give the Dr. Gill Center in Franklin a call now and begin your journey in becoming pain-free. Call 615-882-4838. That's 615-882-4838. And tell them Chris Hand told you to call. Don't take a pill. Call Dr. Gill. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It's Chris Hand, joined by my partner in crime, Matt Murphy.
You know, I've been meaning to ask you. Hello, Chris, by the way.
Hello.
Hey, Mac.
Partner in crime?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been saying best friend, but I feel like people see through that. So Matt,
we can't call ourselves amigos because Manda steals that phrase.
I'm trying dynamic duo. I don't know.
The Wonder Twins.
Ooh.
Remember the Wonder Twins?
I do.
One of them was always some water.
Yeah, it was like,
remember that?
Like with the power of steam.
Form of an eagle.
Yep.
Shape of a bucket.
Yeah, it was like one of them was always cool. One of them was always like badass. And then the other one was like cardboard.
See, this is dated. This is a dated reference lost on younger people. I get it. The Wonder Twins, they'd put their little rings together. One would form like an animal, like a gorilla.
Cool.
And the other was always some form of water, like a sheet of ice or steam.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But like there'd be the eagle would be carrying the bucket in its talons, and the bucket would have little eyeballs on it.
Yep.
Yep. They put out the fire.
It's like
that's cool.
It'd be better if you were just a human with a hose. But all right.
Hey, speaking of humans with hoses.
Oh, jeez.
Everybody,
Super Texter 9492 said we should be called the Bosom Buddies.
Oh, that'd be good too.
Oh, nice.
And Tom Hanks. Maybe we should blame Tom Hanks for ruining the culture.
I blame Tom Hanks for a lot of
stuff, right?
Yeah.
And remember that?
All the conspiracy theories about Tom Hanks are true. All of them.
Are they?
Every
I
single
don't know
one.
any conspiracy theories about Tom Hanks.
I'll fill you in off the air.
Did he like steal somebody's kidney or something?
There's like a bunch of stuff.
So I want you guys, speaking of conspiracy theories, I want you guys to come out to see Chris Hand tonight. It's your big coming out party at the J Street Korean Bar Grill. And most people have not figured this out yet, but Chris Hand is an 81-year-old black woman. So come meet him tonight at the J Street. He does not sound that way on the radio. He doesn't sound anything like he looks like on the radio. So
It's so true. I'm tired of being misgendered.
I'm excited. It should be a lot of fun. There's food.
Oh my gosh, the food is going to be so good. Ribeye.
Oh, you get to see. Have you seen Mandis on site at an on-site event?
No.
Oh, it's awesome. He gets really, really stressed out.
Is it super dope, Mac?
Super dope.
You know, I'm gonna take up for Mandis. I'm gonna get a grab of Chris Hand saying based. Play it on my show a lot.
Based.
So based.
Super based.
Based. You're super based. I'm not super based. You're super based.
Do you have base things to talk about later today?
Well, maybe. Got William Lamberth on the show. Special session. That conversation. Talk a little bit about the mayor's race. But obviously, I mean, there's something going on in Georgia. I want to tell you about it.
It's very unbased what's happening in Georgia. Matt's
Number
got
4.
it all. Matt's got it all. It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN.